should logistics service providers be thinking about technology these days to better serve their customers? I'm here today with Anarie Jonman. She is Senior Director of Global Industry Strategies with Blue Yonder. Hi, Anarie.
Hi, thanks for having me this afternoon.
Thank you so much for being here. What is just, let's start with a broad discussion here. What are some key logistics trends that you are seeing and hearing here at Modex?
Sure. It's been a really exciting 2 days thus far. Folks are really honing in on how to take care of disruptions. How do I handle my supply chain end to end? How do I offset having lack of skilled labor or lack of labor within my building? If I want to automate, how do I do that? What about all this technology that we've created? Do we need to replace it? And what's all the buzz on AI and machine learning and now generative AI? Talk to me about it. Can you train me? Can you tell me what's going on? The questions have been vast and deep, really exciting and curious.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's all? I mean, that's a pretty big agenda of questions that I can't wait to hear answered.
It is.
And we probably don't have 2 hours to answer them either. But let's see what we can do, narrow it down. Specifically, I'm interested in the world of logistics service providers, LSPs right now. I wonder what areas of focus they should be looking at in order to meet these challenges and deal with these disruptions that you're telling me about.
Yeah. So logistics service providers, you can know them as 3PLs, 4PLs, freight forwarders, transportation, broker, non-broker. That's a big name.
Intermediaries, the in-betweeners, yeah.
Right. So they're focused in on after inflation is still coming down, what do we do? How do we meet our clients' expectations? How do I purchase new technology if my CapEx is locked? How do I use generative AI to get better, to predict and forecast my customers' volume? How do I improve my labor efficiency on the floor? So they're looking at a vast area depending on where they're at of how they can hone in and hope their customers grow, number one. Number two, offset their labor costs or offset the availability of skilled labor to do the jobs. And number three, how do I scale and how do I grow with what I have? And then if you take the layer on top of that, data is not new. We've had a vast amount of data for years. It's more so, what is this data telling me? How can I use machine learning and AI in a new way? And how do I harness that instantly instead of looking at the past of the former year's trends to avoid some of those losses? So really honing in on business challenges to solve that aren't high in the sky. Very immediate return on value to their clients and their own P&Ls.
These are not idle questions. These are questions that LSPs have no choice but to ask and answer because their customers probably think of that as a ticket to admission in terms of hiring them to do the job. So that's a very good, thanks for that summary of another set of questions that we're hoping to get answers to. It's nothing but questions these days. Let's drill down though to one aspect of technology and one aspect indeed of AI, and that is generative AI. What role is it playing today in this world, especially from an LSP standpoint? How valuable is the role and how might that role look going forward?
Sure. So our logistics service providers, whether it's customers or prospects, are coming to us and saying, okay, from a training perspective, please explain to us what machine learning is so we understand.
I see.
So think about it more from a training perspective. Have we ever had that in a product? Not just at your company, but at others. Explain to me AI and how does that work? Now explain to me in the future, I've seen poor forecasts, I've seen to where we've overshot labor productivity. How do I capture my invariable cost on the floor to avoid that happening? How do I sync the businesses together? And this is where the generative AI comes in. So it's learning. You feed the beast, if you will, and continue to learn to where you can start to tie warehouse execution, transportation costs, downtime costs, robotics cost, and really tie that to the financial P&L to get better in a holistic way. You have a warehouse P&L, you have a transportation P&L. Is there a way to end to connect those stories in those use cases before we make the choice to load those trucks and have them sit and no one picks them up for 2 days?
Yeah.
Should we wait and not impact the transportation P&L? Do we have enough? It's not just in time. It's the synchronization and orchestration of those choices of where we spend to actually be flawless. An easy way to say it is I used to lead operational excellence. All of those operational excellence steps, how do we take that in technology we have today and orchestrate to where we make the best choices holistically for the company and not the individual areas?
Yeah.
That is a step change. Those decisions were happening independent, siloed, if you were, in different areas. It's bringing that together.
Let me bring it back for a moment to generative AI, though, because we've only been talking about it by that term, 2 years now? Less than that?
Yeah, I would say so.
So how mature is it? How, in terms of its ability to step up and do all these great things that you just told me about, is it not ready for prime time, or is it there already?
I would say use cases that are basic, it's there. And we won't get into platforms in the cloud journey, right? Because we're having an industry discussion.
Right.
So it is there. You have to be careful. We start with the use cases. We test the model. You're taking incremental, small batch frequency of change.
Yeah.
So organizations, we coach and guide, or any logistics company or technology company is saying, hey, let's see what you have. Let's lay out what your goals are, whether that's sustainability, profitability, labor availability, of how you want to run your technology. Then let's talk about the business P&Ls. Where is it short? Where do you want to grow? It's becoming more wide open to say, okay, now technology has a seat at the table. Let's build your organization for those use cases to support that goal. Is it table stakes yet? Like we talked about things, 10 years ago of labor, or even really robotics is starting to become common.
Yeah.
Not everywhere, but a use case. It's going to get there quickly because technology is moving at a faster speed of light.
Yeah, but I love what you're saying, because it's not a question of just plugging in an application.
No.
You're talking about the importance of business process. You're talking about change management. You're talking about people changing their whole
Correct.
attitude and their whole approach to technology. People learning slowly, even as the technology itself, quote unquote, learns. So
Right.
everybody's moving forward together in this whole orchestration thing that you talk about, which is also a great metaphor.
Absolutely. And we have to remember, not everybody is trying to lights out warehouse. Not everyone is trying to have autonomous drivers in cars.
Yeah.
Not everyone is trying to deliver with drones. Those are all great. I never thought I would see this in my lifetime. But it's sitting down with the organization, your missions, your values, going across the business of what are we trying to achieve? How does sustainability lead in that? It's not a set it and forget it. There are still people in every facets of these areas.
Yeah.
So you're going to see great use cases as the months and years go on of making people more safe. We're already seeing it. Avoiding waste or disasters from predictive information. Maybe there's a way that we decide to add 6 or 7 more transit time on the ocean because we want to avoid acts of war or other options. It's not just in people's head. It's getting that, if you will, into these generative AI and machine learning to kind of have more options.
Great. Thank you so much, Anarie, for laying out all this, for asking a lot of important questions and even giving me some answers too. Really appreciate that. Could I take a moment, though, to ask you about Blue Yonder specifically? What are you offering the marketplace today with respect to what we've been talking about here?
Sure. So Blue Yonder is an end-to-end technology organization. So we handle whether it is planning, end-to-end execution, reverse logistics, return, and then we have a great platform in a data cloud. So transportation, warehousing management, planning, serve all the clients, retail, LSP, as well as CPG companies.
Anarie, thank you again very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
I have been speaking with Anarie Jonman of Blue Yonder. Thank you very much for watching.